All right, here tonight on Citizen Television, remember last week we did an explainer. We took you through each of the recommendations that President Uhuru Kenyatta had made regarding the agriculture sector, from coffee to milk, potatoes, rice. And today we do a follow-up of that. We want to get a clear understanding. So my explainer today is we literally hear it from the horse's mouth. And we're so pleased tonight to have Cabinet Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Peter Munya. Asante sana Bwana CS for making the time for us tonight. I think the best place to begin would be with the locust invasion. We'll get to the president's recommendations in a moment, but that is worrying. We continue to see them moving, from one region to the next of the country. Perhaps you could give us an update on, the situation with that, the losses that have been incurred. I don't know if you have any quantities around that and how it will affect food security and perhaps some of the things you're putting in place.
Yes, indeed, there has been a locust invasion in the country, and as of now, 10 counties have been affected, and largely in northern Kenya and at the northeastern, upper eastern, and parts of Rift Valley. That is Wajir, Garissa, Mandera, Samburu, Marsabit, Isiolo, Laikipia, Baringo, and Meru. And most recently, Kitui.
Yeah.
Meru and Laikipia is largely, free. The biggest concentration is Samburu, Wajir, where we've done a lot of work.
Okay.
Garissa also quite some invasion, and we are shifting now a lot of focus in Garissa beginning tomorrow. So we've done a lot of work to contain the invasion.
Yeah.
And that's why you see most of the food basket areas are largely unaffected, except Kitui. Of course, pastoral areas also food basket in the sense that, pastoralists are there and animals are there. But, the locusts came from that direction because they breed largely in the Red Sea area, Somalia, Ethiopia.
Yeah. So what you're saying is, the traditional sort of bread basket where there's, maize and that sort of thing being grown has been largely unaffected?
Except Kitui.
Except Kitui.
Yes, except Kitui.
So what are some of the measures?
And Kitui, immediately the report came the day before yesterday.
Yes.
The spraying was done yesterday morning. The spraying was done this morning. And there is a small swarm that is left that will be sprayed tomorrow.
Okay. And
we have shifted the planes that are handling Kitui from Isiolo to a nearer to Masinga Dam, where you can be able even to spray twice.
Yeah. Okay.
The trouble is
some of the mitigation that you're going to do, in the pastoralist areas, also for them. I'm sure they're largely affected. What are some of the measures you're going to put in place?
Yes, currently our focus is really to deal with the invasion.
Okay.
And we are also mobilizing now an assessment team that will go around now assessing the damage and the quantifying.
Okay.
And then government will start working on how to support the families and the people that are affected.
All right. Okay.
But
so for
without, because the innovation is big, and we can't even predict if more won't come, because there's nobody controlling and running some of those countries, Somalia. We deal with the invasion.
Okay, so dealing with the invasion first.
Yes,
then you'll now quantify
once we
the
contain, and we are almost there.
Okay.
Because it's a season, and usually there is a season for it.
Yeah.
Soon, and even the locusts also reach at certain age. And they reach adult age, later adult age, they become even harmless because they can't eat much.
Right.
They are going to another stage of now laying eggs. So the time to attack is when they are highly adults, when they are very the damage is big.
Yes, and
that's why we have been concentrating on that to reduce the effect, contain the situation, and then, of course, go into the other stages.
Go into the next phase. All right. I'd like us to now shift focus to the recommendations that the President made in his address to the nation last week. I mean, there was far-reaching, coffee, tea, and a number of those.
Before we go to that, I wanted to assure, the people that our because it's important that all the people, wherever the locals are, know that government is working very hard. Baringo, we have done surveillance, and we are also going to spray there. Marsabit, we are already spraying. The challenge has been some of the areas are very expansive. They are moving. Even when you identify where they are, before you go to spray, they are moved. And you have to identify the specific place where they are, and you can only spray when they are arrested. That's usually in the morning. Because when there are millions and millions, when they are moving around.
I mean, you are battling a moving target, so that can have some of its challenges. On to the President's recommendations. I mean, because we could go into each of them, but I think to start with, Bonasias, what are some of the perhaps 2 or 3 things that you could say will change for farmers in all of these sectors, some of them, in the next few months? What are some of those tangible things that the farmers will now say, you know, things were badly off and now we are better off in one way or another as a result of the President's recommendations?
Yes, the President basically specified certain interventions on certain value chains that are very important for farmers in this country. The dairy sector, the coffee sector, the tea sector, and even, you know, the sugar sector is also coming. You know, there are recommendations already, and there's a report which we are digesting and also quickly picking quick interventions. The maize sector also, there are also recommendations that we are also implementing, and we are also soon announcements will also be made on what we want to do very quickly in those sectors. But if we turn to those that he gave solutions, milk sector that has been very, very resilient and has been growing and giving income to farmers. Challenges have come because of competition from milk products coming from outside the country. And largely, you know, substandard goods coming, and if you trace the origin, you may not locate them from those countries that are coming. So we have immediately taken action to make sure that we control and don't let those substandard goods come to interfere with the market. We want to continue having trade in East Africa for sure, because we are one market. But we also have rules that prevent, you know, goods from another country. Coming in. We can't even be able to assure people of the safety of some of those goods. That's why the crackdown is going on. That's one point. The second point is already we announced price increase for milk delivered to farmers. We increased the pricing from the average of 25 shillings per litre to 33 shillings per litre. That is immediate, and farmers are very happy about it. We are also looking for market. In fact, all government agencies have been ordered to buy milk locally, local milk, and I can already give you KNTC, which was appointed by the government to coordinate the buying, to mop up the milk from the market and therefore stabilize the prices, are also already getting orders from our institutions, schools, prisons, the armed forces, police. We're already doing that. And the buying of the milk from, I mean, the rice from, I'm now shifting to rice. The buying of the rice from
where? The farmers?
From Munya and Kano, ground teams are already there, mobilizing for that buying. So milk, rice, then turning to tea, we are also now working on the regulations that the President orders to deal with the cartels, deal with the conflict of interest that has been constraining the discovery.
The one thing would be more money for the farmers,
more
at
money
least.
The bottom line. Is to improve the earnings
of farmers
to the farmer.
Reduce
the middlemen who make the money from farming. Improve the trading to make it more transparent, so that you can have price discovery instead of where you have, you know, cartels that are controlling
the prices. So we want to take a break. Please hold your thoughts, sir. We will be talking about a lot more within the agriculture sector and food security and what that means for you and I, for farmers, and whether food will be cheaper over the next couple of months here in the country. Let's take a break. We'll be right back here tonight. Thanks for staying with us here tonight. We are still here with Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture, Peter Munya, and we're talking about food security in the country. We've discussed the locus and a bit of the recommendations of the President. He's still here with me now. Bwana CS, when we talked previously, you mentioned, what's happening in the dairy sector and in milk, but there's still the issues of cartels or, big companies that control the prices of milk. And some would say that in the formal sector, there's, basically three big companies that control that sector, that make it not as competitive as it should be. Is this a concern that you have heard from farmers? Is this a concern that you share as a Cabinet Secretary? And what are you going to do about it?
The truth is about milk is not cartels. If you look at the capacity of those companies, the installed capacity, and what they are able to process, they don't even process half of the capacity they have. So the problem with milk is market for the milk, because the sector has been doing so well that farmers have done a lot of investment in it. And because of that investment, when there is a lot of rain, there is also quite heavy production. And then the competition now from cheaper products from outside that has been taking away the market from the local farmers. So if we address the issue of cheaper products that are coming out, which we are addressing, because in fact in the coming law we want to impose 16% VAT on imported milk products, because even our neighboring countries also do the same. So we won't discriminate on Uganda, we impose it on any milk products coming from outside. We want to increase, put a bigger tariff on powder milk that is coming from outside the country. And then we have also implementing the local content policy, where local institutions must buy local milk, and not just milk, even rice and other products. Remember, we have been implementing that for other products, including leather and all that. We are also pushing that. So really, the issue of dominant companies has been overplayed and even politicized. If those companies were not there, the situation would be worse, because then there would be nobody to buy that milk, process, sell, even access local markets, because some of those companies are actually selling in the region. So if they were not there, the situation would have been very different. Remember, government has also invested heavily on a government milk agency, new KCC, that has also helped stabilize the prices, which we are now continuing to build capacity to make sure that it processes more, and especially processing and putting in long-term product that can stay longer, because the problem with milk is very perishable. So if you don't process into pound and other products that can stay longer, for you to look for markets as they are, because they are perishable, that's where the problem is. So we are increasing the capacity of new KCC to process powder milk, cheese and other products. Then supporting them to look for markets in West Africa, Central Africa, etc., etc. And then, of course, our institution buying more. So we want to stabilize prices. We have put them at 3 shillings. We want to stay there. The other issue which nobody talks about is within even milk, the cooperatives that buy and sell, they also overcharge the farmers. You can see some charging 6 shillings per litre for just collecting and going to sell to the processor. We want to address that also.
So
that we make sure ultimately,
that, so that it goes
ultimately the farmer gets the money.
Gets the money. You mentioned politics a little bit, and I'd like to talk a little bit about that, because there are some who feel that these changes were, also served served a political purpose. The people of central Kenya, particularly where you have the coffee farmers, the tea farmers, those in the dairy sector, there's been disquiet and there's been a feeling from them that they've been neglected by their president and the issues have not been addressed, and that these measures come at a time when there are high political stakes in the country, with BBI around the corner, and the president perhaps feeling some heat from his own backyard, that's in central Kenya, and that these are perhaps short-term fixes to solve a political problem.
I don't think they are short-term, because it's also important to understand that even though government can intervene in the sector, farming is also largely a private business. People do it and sell and buy. So sometimes it's very difficult to intervene very strongly, because then you are interfering with business that is owned by those individuals. Like, for example, KTDA. The argument all along has been
it's a private company.
It's private business.
Right.
So government is shy in coming in until we realize, well, it's private business, but it's affecting citizens of this country. And therefore, government must come in very strongly. And the president has said he will come in very, very strongly to make sure that the cartels that control the marketing and the processing of tea, that have networks across the globe that makes even our tea, which is very good quality, not realize the best price. The vested interests and conflict of interest that are in the entire, entire pipeline are addressed. Once they are addressed, why could it be short term? It will be long term, because we are putting it in law. We are drafting regulations that we are going to implement. So it's not short term. It has been long coming because of the intricacies and the difficulties of intervening in a very complex sector where, Kenya being a democracy, where, people have right to vote, elect the people they want, people who run the tea industry, people are elected, directors elected by the farmers themselves. So intervening becomes very difficult. But at the end of the day, the president has said, no, we must come in and help the farmer. And we are ready to be accused of interfering, as long as ultimately what we want to do is help the farmer. So the interventions are not short-term. It's a policy shift that is intended in the long term to guarantee the farmer. If you look at, for example, one of the proposals the president has been a stabilization fund, where, government and the players in the tea will also be having money that is put aside and invested to support the farmer when the prices are low. Stabilization, how can that be short term? It can't be short term. The milk sector, we have been building capacity for KCC, new KCC, to continue being the stabilizer of the pricing in the dairy sector. Investing millions into the sector, rebuilding and expanding factories. We expanded one in Eldoret, one in Bomet, here in Dadora. We are finishing the one in Nyahururu. Kiganjo, we are putting a new facility also in Meru. Those are not short term. Okay. Those are not short term.
All right. So
and without leaving that subject, it's important also to point out that it is not Central Kenya alone that grows coffee or grows tea. In fact, coffee is grown in 32 counties. Tea is grown in Central Kenya. It is also grown in the Rift Valley. It is also grown in Western Kenya. Dairy is everywhere in the country. In fact, Miritini is one of the big factories in new KCC in the coast. So grumbling only in Central Kenya and not grumbling in Rift Valley tells you there's a lot of politics in this matter. And there are people who have invested money and time in trying to portray the president as somebody who doesn't care about the people of Central Kenya. Yet these products we are talking about are products for farmers across the country.
Okay, thank you.
But that does not mean that things shouldn't be done. We are doing it.
Okay.
We have
forging ahead,
doing it, and farmers are listening and they are hearing, and they are appreciating.
All right, we want to leave it at that with you, Cabinet Secretary, and thank you so much for coming. But while I still have you, today is the 23rd of January, 2020, and it is a day that Charles Njonjo turns 100 years old. Would you want to live to 100?
Oh yeah, I mean,
can we live to 100 with our state of food security in this country?
Everybody would want to live long. And have quality life.
And have quality life.
But,
and good food.
Very few
and diet is a big part of it. So, you know, we're all hoping that you will play a big role in making sure that all of us live to 100.
Indeed, our role in agriculture is to make sure there is food security.
Yeah.
People have enough food of good nutritional value.
Yeah.
And that helps people also to live healthy lives.
Yes, to live long and healthy lives. Okay, Buenos Dias, thank you so much for speaking with me.